Hi, this is Steve, and I want to show you one of the most delicious, simple meals you could possibly make. It's basically called a flat iron steak. And this is a beautiful flat iron steak. You may have to go to the butcher to get it, but it's part of the shoulder, I've been told. So let's take it off, and we're going to go ahead and season it. I like Montreal seasoning, but you can use the seasoning of your choice. I'm going to do the Montreal. Now, when I do the Montreal, I like to put it on there. Now, you could put a little bit of Lawry's on there if you want. But what I like to do with my seasoning, like the Montreal, is to get it pushed into the meat so it doesn't come loose. So I like to do both sides. If you want to put garlic on this, you can do that too. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to put some garlic on this one. I like using this pureed garlic. You know, it's a few bucks, but it's nice and it keeps well, as long as you keep it in the fridge and keep it capped. I'm going to go ahead and smear this all over this beautiful piece of meat. All right, so I'm just going to take some of this and kind of rub it in there a little bit, try to get it in the grooves as much as possible. Not a big deal here. And if you want to, you can flip it over and do the other side. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more of the Montreal. Use your own dry seasoning, whatever you like. I like the Montreal. Now I put a little bit of raw, I put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in here, and I coated the pan with it. Not a lot, just enough to get it cover the bottom of the pan. I have this high pan so that it helps prevent me from splattering outside. Got my onions ready. I got my steak ready, already seasoned. Now all I have to do is wait for this to heat up very, very hot. I like to do it very hot. So while that's heating up, I just wanted to say that this is one of the most simplest, easiest to make recipe, and has the most unbelievable flavor. I can't express how delicious this is when we're done. The only way that you can really screw this up is if you overcook the steak. The steak has to remain medium rare. For those of you who are squeamish about medium rare, then might as well turn this off, because that's the only way you're supposed to eat steak. I have some really good blue cheese crumbles, and this is awesome. I normally use the Amish blue cheese crumbles, but this is delicious. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to put these onions in there. Yeah, this is probably hot enough now. Now I'm filming this with one hand and operating everything else with the other. So we want to break this up as small as we can. I'm not a big fan of raw onions, but I live for grilled onions. So we get it all broken up here. Break it up into small pieces as you can get it. And then all we're going to do, this is how simple this is we're just going to lay the steak on top of these onions. Again, I want it as small as pieces as possible. The onions take a little bit longer to cook than does the steak, and the cheese goes on after that. So it's really simple. Onions, after they start to grill, you put on the steak. You let that brown on one side. You put the blue cheese on top of that, and then as the bottom browns, you flip it over. And the combination of these flavors is just unbelievable. I can't express to you how simple this is and how good it comes out. Okay, so you can see that I've been doing the onions for about 10 minutes. Just to get them, you can see the texture is kind of, I don't know, what's the word, slimy. But they smell awesome, man. These onions smell good. Sorry about the camera work. It's just me in here, phone in one hand, and everything else in the other. So I think that's pretty good. Let's set that over here. Look how beautiful this is, man. This is a thing of beauty. Look at that. Oh, that's a good looking piece of meat. Give an idea for how thick it is. And all you're going to do is lay it in the pan like that. That's it. Then we're going to take our blue cheese crumbles, and we're going to use probably all of them. This is goodness, man. These are good crumbles. Normally I like to use the Amish crumbles. Oh, that's a thing of beauty right there. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, let's put the whole thing in. Why not? Okay, now the only thing you got to do is watch the bottom of that steak and determine when it's time to flip it. Look at my fingers. The combination of the cheese, crumbles, the onions, and the juice from the steak make the most incredible sauce you've ever tasted. So I'm going to start filming again when it's time to flip this steak. It should be about 3 to 5 minutes, somewhere in there. 10 minutes on the onions, and then 3 to 5 on each side of the steak. I want to make sure the steak is medium rare inside, and that you don't overcook it. Now I am still on high with my temperature, so you have to really watch it. At this point I'm going to leave it on high, and I'm getting ready to flip it over to see how brown the other side of that is, and introduce the blue cheese crumbles to the rest of the dish. Okay, as I said, it's just me with one hand filming and flipping with the other. So I want to make sure that I give it a chance to get it nice and brown on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and flip it right now, and when I do, it's going to make that cheese go to the bottom and start melting. And when it melts, it starts making the most amazing sauce. I probably should have left it on that side a little bit longer. It's not very brown. I promise you, this is going to be amazing. Just wanted to show you. You see this beautiful sauce it's making? It's making that with the juice from the steak, with the blue crumbles, and the onions, the juice from the onions, and the little bit of the olive oil that we put in there. You can see it's starting to turn. So I want to just keep a real close eye on this. So I kind of flipped this one a little early, because it's still pink on this first side. So I'm going to flip it again. And by the way, I don't subscribe to that myth about you can only flip your steak once. It's hogwash. You see the beautiful sauce it's making right here. Trying to make the steak come into contact with the bottom of the pan as best you can. There we go. You see that beautiful sauce it's making right there? That is to die for, man. Okay, so I'm checking it. You have to constantly be checking it. Again, I only have one hand to do this because I'm filming with the other. This is still just a little too rare, but it's close. It's very close. But look at that sauce, man. I'm telling you, that is so good. So we're getting close. Just keep checking it. Take little test cuts like that. And always look at the thick end, not just the thin end, because the thin end will be done and the thick end won't. It's a thing of beauty, I tell you. Oh, man. You should smell this. Did another test cut, and it's still just a little too rare. A little too rare to for my taste. I like to get just a little bit more done than that. You can kind of tell because you see how the meat's shiny right there? It tells me it's 100% raw. So we'll keep cooking, come back. Okay, I turned the heat down a little bit, down to what it looks like 5. Still cooking at a pretty good pace. Still a little bit rare. So the key here is to just keep checking and don't let it get away from you. Look at that beautiful brown sauce. Okay, I cut a test piece. Now keep in mind that this is off the end, but this is what you're looking at right there. That's what you're looking for in rareness. The shiny's gone. It's still pink in the middle. It is so tender and it is so good.
I saw this recipe at the grocery store, brought it home, and made it myself, and it tastes exactly the same. It's not my recipe, but it's good.
Look at that. That is perfect. That's exactly how you want it. I took it off so that it wouldn't keep cooking. Get a little bit of blood down here. There are spooky videos to come, but first, some clips that don't require a costume. Mom wanted to keep the kids safe. Mission accomplished. Oh. Yeah.